Happy Sunday and good evening. If you're watching this live, thank you for joining me for a few minutes this afternoon. If you're catching a rebroadcast, regardless of where you are, no matter what time it is, thank you so much for joining me today. It is always an honor. It is always my privilege to join you on Sundays. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, you're like, hey, who is this lady and where is she coming from? My name is Beverly Johnson, owner of Genesys Fitness, and welcome to our weekly Fit and Fierce Wellness segment. And this segment is dedicated to discussing all things health, fitness related. Hi, Elliot. All things health, fitness related. We bring on entrepreneurs. We talk about news events. I share some tidbits about my family. So what I'm saying is some weekends we're spot on and some weekends random. But that's okay because that is a reflection of our lives. That is a reflection of our journeys. If you're just tuning in, you're wondering where's the little twang in her voice comes from. I am a native of Alabama. Yes, that Alabama. I currently reside in the northern side, northern part called Huntsville, Alabama. I'm originally from a little town in the southern. Hi, Daryl. From the Gulf Coast called Mobile, Alabama. Mitchell, what it do? Um, you know what, Elliot? I cannot believe you just put that blasphemy in the chat. I cannot believe it, Elliot. You put that type of blasphemy in the chat. Blah! Now I got to find out how to get that comment removed. Hey, Cedric. All things, no matter if you're from Alabama, if you're from Auburn, or any team in the SEC. I hope that your team that did well. Well, hello, Regard. I'm just playing with you, Elliot. I hope that your team did well based on the comments that I saw yesterday. Auburn didn't do well. I don't have a dog in the fight on either team in the SEC. I'm not an avid football fan. I don't know how that missed me, but there are some parts where I'll go because I like to go, but I'm not a diehard fan. So, okay, I can bandwagon with the best of them. I will be the best little bandwagoner you will ever imagine. But as far as knowing a team, now Ohio State's good too. As far as a team, I don't have one. But if you invite me to go, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna have the best time ever being in the stands, being in the peanut gallery. So yes, don't know much about the sport, but I have a good time in the stands, eating my snacks and watching the shenanigans all around me. Now, this week, we're going to talk about something that's not so much sexy. Yes, Catrell, high blood pressure is not really sexy, but it is something that we really do need to talk about in our communities. Hey, bestie, primarily in the African American community, because the stats have come out based on what I saw in the Mayo Clinic, the CDC. High blood pressure is very prevalent and very problematic in the southern states. And so we're going to try to digest some of the things that have led to it and offer some really heartfelt conversation. And please feel free, if you have any questions, chime in or share your insight in the chat. But hypertension, as it's also called, is very high in the Black community, Black and brown. Oh gosh. Oh, Catrell. Oh my. Oh, how are you functioning? Oh my goodness. And what Catrell just put, she said hers was 183 over 113. And so I'm going to be tech savvy today. So before we go into the conversation, I want to share with you what the blood pressure ranges usually should be. What? I did it. So we're talking about, I feel like John Madden now. I feel like I need some X's and O's on my chart. We talk about blood pressure. As you can see, thank you, Katrina. That's good to hear. So when we talk about blood pressure, we talk about the systolic, which is the number at the top, and the diastolic, which the number, hey Dwayne, which is the number at the bottom. And so if you're in that green range, the normal range, that means your top number is 120 or lower, and the bottom number is less than 80, Ariel. Oh no, you can't have that. So Ariella, when you say your regular, what is your regular? Because I don't want to misinterpret anything. When we're talking about elevated, you see it turns yellow. And that is 120 to 129. But still, your bottom number is less than 80. Now we get in that little orange range. You start seeing the numbers go up. You start averaging around those 130s. And you see the bottom number is starting to change. Oh, you were in the hypertension stage. Oh, you were at stage 2, which they call the hypertension, high blood pressure stage. And that's when your blood pressure is 140 or higher. And you see that bottom number has gone up to 90 and higher. Oh, ooh. Exactly, because I'm sure, Donna, when your blood pressure acts up, it's impacting when you're having migraines, it's impacting everything else. And then if you see this red number, that crisis number, you see that is 180, your upper number. And then that bottom number goes up to higher than 120. Now, I know you're saying all this. What's the point? The problem is that high blood pressure can lead to other problems. And some of the common causes of hypertension in America, and I'm just going to use the framework of the last since 2020. And this is coming from a medical journal. Some of the causes for hypertension or high blood pressure has been shown to be medical racism. That it is now being shown that when we go in for care, we're not given the proper consideration or treatment for certain cases because it's been shown and documented that our doctors don't always listen to you. Number 2, racism in the backdrop of COVID, in the backdrop of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and just living in the backdrop of what's going on. Constant exposure of being bombarded by certain things all the time has been associated with hypertension. It has been a study that was published in 2014 that perceived exposure to racism correlated with the increased risk of developing high blood pressure. So it's the thought of always, and I want you to look at it at this perspective, that have you been in a space that when you feel the energy is off, when you feel that you certain things you consume on the news that's going on, you start feeling your anxiety. You start feeling your blood pressure. You start feeling ill because you're trying to we're internalizing so much. Not to say that's the prevalent, that's not the primary, but that is something that we often have to think about. Another one I'll throw in is also environmental racism. That depending on where you grow up, many of our areas don't have sidewalks. Many of our areas don't have greenways, which means we can't go walking, which means we can't go exercising. In other areas, that means we are in food deserts, which means we lack the ability to get great produce, great fruits, because they're not sent to our areas. And so when you're in an area with a food desert, you get what you can afford or you get what you can find. And so having food deserts, having lack of resources such as walking trails, sidewalks, all that can contribute into causes of hypertension. And the last one, because I would be remiss not to have this one, that there's the part that we subconsciously play in. Because again, I will never believe that none of us intentionally contribute to our demise and our ill health. So some of the things that contributed to our lifestyle factors, eating a high salt, high fat diet, just like I said, lack of quality food because of a food desert. I never know that I do. Yes, ma'am. Certain foods can trigger migraines. If your blood pressure goes up, it can trigger migraines. And so all that ties into it. And of course, as always, getting little to no exercise, becoming very sedentary can contribute to my high blood pressure. And so as you see, as you can hear, this can be a very convoluted thing, because when we take it apart as individual things, it may not be bad. But when you couple having us living in the backdrop of COVID, us living in the backdrop of so much social and economic unrest, so much things that we're having. I suffer from chronic nectar. Yes, ma'am, and that's why you need to rest. Yes, yes, ma'am. You need to get rest, because having chronic, I have migraines when the seasons change, so I can't imagine living like that every day. That ooh. And so when we're going into symptoms, some of the symptoms of high blood pressure are headaches, shortness of breath, and nosebleeds. Years ago, what was the director's, producer's name? John Singleton? If it's not right, please correct me. Where he died from high blood pressure. And they were commenting, his family commented that one of the symptoms that he had was nosebleeds. And we're going to pause right there for the cause. If you are in a space, let me direct it this way. In our community, we are notorious for making ourselves comfortable with the uncomfortable. And a lot of times we push our health on the back burner because we think we have to always be present, and there's always something that's going on that we can't pull away to take care of ourselves. If you are in a space where you are noticing your blood pressure is going up and you are having nosebleeds, it's an immediate stop. At work, we call it a stop work. That means it is at the highest priority. It means do not pass go. So if you are in a space and you're experiencing symptoms like this is not the time to shrug it off. This is not the time to say that I have time, I'll worry about it tomorrow, because your influence and your love and support is needed by those that you impact. Your voice is needed. Your vision, your insight is needed. And don't take your symptoms lightly, because some of the factors that include high blood pressure, having a lot of salt in your diet. And so if you're one of those that before you even taste your food, you're putting a lot of salt on it, I'm going to encourage you to think twice. At least taste it, then decide if it needs some salt. Number 2, not getting a lot of physical activity. Because we've been inside and we're slowly coming outside, but we ain't that outside, but we outside. We're not as physically active. Most of the workforce is now work from home, or we have office jobs. So we're very sedentary. So it is a space where, in order to become physically active, you have to become very intentional about carving out time in your schedule, even if it's just 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes on your lunch break to go exercise. Another one, having a family history of high blood pressure. That's all right, boo, you made it. Where if you have a family where high blood pressure runs in your family, it is imperative that you get your checkups often, that you stay abreast of what's going on, and that you become very vigilant and become an advocate for your health care. And by saying an advocate for your health care, if you have to buy one of those little sleeves or go up to Walgreens or the grocery store and, do your little blood pressure check, you do that. If you know it runs in your family, you need to guard your diet. You need to become vigilant about your exercise, because just because it may run in the family doesn't mean it has to run. It doesn't mean you have to pick up the baton. So just because it's predisposed, that also gives you an early warning signal to say, I need to become more prepared. Number 3, high stress levels. Well, hi there. Number 4, not getting enough sleep. Yes, ma'am. Oh, you good. It's good to have a high blood pressure monitor. I'm well, thank you. How are you? Excessive alcohol use. And lastly, kidney disease. These are things that that can contribute to high blood pressure. And because I can feel it churning in the air, that somebody's saying, well, I don't do all of this and I don't have any of these problems. I'm going to tell you which category applied to me. And the category that applied to me at one time, it's 22, 6 years ago. No, 7. It's about 7 years ago, which category applied to me. High stress levels. I was at work one day. For those that don't know, I have a day job. To keep myself in this lap of luxury. I have a day job. And at the time, I was going through a brutal divorce. When I say brutal, it was HE double hockey sticks on all fronts. On top of trying to work, on top of trying to rebuild my life, on top of trying to have a semi-successful career. And I remember I was at my desk one day and my speech began to slur. And I didn't feel right. Nothing about me felt right. I felt dizzy. I felt bleh. Now keep in mind, I don't put a lot of salt in my diet. If you know me, I'm a gym rat. I don't have a family history of high blood pressure. I didn't have excessive alcohol use, and I didn't have kidney disease. But I had excessively high stress. So by the time I went to the medical center, I'm going to show you what category I was in. I was in stage 2. By the time they got me I made it to the emergency room, to our urgent care center on site, I was stage 2. I think my top number was at 160. And that is what it was down to. By the time they got me to our health center at work, I was at 160, which meant it went down by the time I got there. And I remember I called my doctor and I said, something's not right. And she said, what is your blood pressure? And I told her, I think it was like 160 over something else. And she told me to take an aspirin and go home. And I said, what is wrong? She said, because you're on the verge of having a heart attack. So your high blood pressure, your diet, and your wellness is not a respecter of antibody. So do not fall in the lull of saying, well, I do X, I do Y, I do Z, that I should be good. Because if you're in a space where you're under a lot of stress, you're not sleeping well, and you're using alcohol to soothe the pain, you're still in the realm of possibly having high blood pressure. So I don't want us to automatically assume that suffering from high blood pressure has a certain look. I don't want us to. Yes, ma'am, I have a question. I may have missed it, but how do you read the numbers on a heart monitor? Oh, you haven't missed it. So let me show you. If you have an Apple Watch, on the watch, they have it where you can measure your heart rate. And your heart rate is a good indicator of how many beats per minute. So if you are in a space, so your heart monitor, Adrian, are you asking about the heart monitor or blood pressure? Because when you answer that, and I'll proceed. And so when we're talking about this isn't something that's sexy. This isn't something that, we cheer about, but it's a silent killer for a reason. Because by the time you get to the doctor, okay, do you want me to bring the chart back up for you? And so when we talk about that, these are things that contribute to other parts of our health, other parts of our wellness. Well, hello there. So untreated high blood pressure can lead to a stroke, a heart attack, vascular disease, kidney disease, eye disease, and vascular dementia. Now, couple that if you also have diabetes. Now, couple that if you have other conditions. Now, couple that if you're also dealing with other things. And so this becomes the perfect storm. Because when people say, well, what's wrong with you? You like, I don't know. Pick one. Oh, Adriana, sure. I love charts too. So let's bring the chart back. Y'all, I feel fancy. I have a chart. And so, Adriana, when we're talking about blood pressure, you have the top number, which is the systolic, and the bottom number, which is the diastolic. I feel like I can't say Dr. Oz because he on something. So I feel like nobody. I feel like me. And so, as you see, Adriana, and for everybody else that's late, ideally, we want to be, why am I pointing to the chart? Y'all can't see my hand. Ideally, you want to be in the green level, which is normal. And so there are times where we will be in the elevated level. How many of us, and I'll raise my hand. There's my hand. You go to the doctor and your blood pressure spikes up. Me. Where I can be normal the whole day. But the moment I go to the doctor's office, my blood pressure goes up. And the name of that is called white coat syndrome. I think that's the name. That it is, for some of us, we naturally have elevated high blood pressure when we go to the doctor. And so that scenario that I gave you when I got sick, that is how my doctor, the people at our medical center, knew something was wrong, because my history had always shown that I averaged around 117 over 80 or something like that. And so when I came in and my blood pressure was like 160 over 95, that's when they knew something was wrong. So yes, ma'am, it's a real thing. So it's that coupling with anxiety, it's that coupling with I don't want to be sick. And then it's so what ends up happening, I do it. I hold my breath. And so while they're taking my blood pressure, I'm like, and then they're like, oh, your blood pressure is 135. And I'm like, but I was 112 the other day. And so anxiety sometimes may contribute to that scenario. So Rosemary, we all do it. And I don't know why we do that when we go to the doctor, where we just stop breathing and we go into this space of panic. Because I can really do without getting on the scale. And truthfully, I wish they'd take my blood pressure first before I get on the scale. I don't really know why, if I'm coming in there for a sinus infection or just get a checkup, a follow-up, I need to get on the scale. But that's neither here nor there. So when we're talking about how to control our high blood pressure, this is a space that requires a level of honesty with ourselves, that requires a level of being willing to change where we are. Because just as we may have generational curses in our families, we also have generational blessings. And sometimes we have to make the willful choice to say, yes, certain conditions may have ran in my family, but I don't have to always be the one. Now, if you are predisposed to it because of family things, the best thing you can do is mitigate it and put steps in place to take as little as medicine as possible. I will never tell you not take medicine, because that's your safety. So for your safety's sakes, listen to your doctor and do what's right. Do not be out here not taking your high blood pressure medicine, because if you fall out in Publix, none of us will know why. And be like, oh, she fell over in the Publix. What are we supposed to do? Take your blood pressure medicine. Take your high blood pressure medicine, but also partner with somebody to figure out what strategies you need to start lowering And eventually, if you're able, get off of it. So I didn't give the definition of what it is. Hypertension is a blood pressure, is the measurement of pressure or force of blood pushing against your vessel walls. And so that's why it's called the silent killer, because that's not pressure that we can feel. It's not pressure that you know what's going on, but it's something that your body knows what is going on, that something is wrong. So what can we do to minimize our high blood pressure? Y'all already know the answer. You know what I'm going to tell you. And the thing about it is, it's that realm of things that we can control. We cannot control medical racism, but we can try to find professionals that are caring and concerned, that will take the time to hear us and be work with us in our advocacy. We cannot do anything about the social injustice. Yes, we can. We can. Yes, we can. We can become active in the things around us and use our voice and be vocal about the changes that we desire and demand. And number three, we can hold ourselves accountable and start taking control and be willing to change the narrative about our health. The statement that I absolutely hate upon statements that I hate is that, you got to go from something. Might as well go happy. I'm going to die with a rib in my hand. Ha, 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 ha. The problem with that statement is that if you get sick and you get confined to your bed or require long-term care, someone in your family has to make the sacrifice and care for you. That means your decisions to not take ownership for your health and your wellness now impact somebody else. Now I'm not referring to, any diseases that come upon us, God willing that it never happens, because none of us know the outlook. But if I know certain things have the possibility of making me sick, I know that when I'm being told by a physician, if you don't change your habits, this is going to be the outcome, and I still go in. Now, when I get sick, somebody else is now inconvenienced. Now, I have been sick. I have been bedridden. I have had to have caregivers and everything else. And I'm here to tell you, it is no fun to not have any power. After every surgery I had to be totally dependent on somebody to come in here and cook my meals, get me to the doctor. I couldn't even drive myself to Target. And even then, when I went to Target, I had to ride in a little scooter, and I was in there for 2 hours because I was happy to be outside. And in that experience, it showed me that there's a level of compassion that somebody has to have to care for you. And I don't want to see you at a young age, because the older I get, the younger everybody gets. That I don't want to hear that you're 38 and you had to be restricted to the bed, that you're 44 and something had to happen. So in this space, I'm not telling you to go to a perfect, there's not a perfect weight size. There's not a perfect number on the scale. I will never tell you that. But what I will encourage you to do is have an honest conversation with yourselves and go, if I'm in this range and the doctor's telling me that I have high blood pressure, what can I do to flip the script? That's really what it comes down to. What can I do to flip the script? And primarily, I can tell y'all, we're in the South. I'm in the South. And the prevalence of high blood pressure is in the South. Not just any parts of the South, but Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, the Carolinas, and Texas. Why? Primarily because of our diet choices. Let me see if I can find it. CDC. And so if we're in a space where it is something that's prevalent in the South, that means there are certain decisions that we have to make for ourselves, because I'll tell anybody, we loves a good meal. I'll argue with no one. Nobody ever says, hey, no offense to those in northern or eastern northern states. Nobody ever says, hey, I want that good fried chicken from Maryland. Nobody ever says, hey, give me that good barbecue from Wisconsin. Nobody. Whoo, I sure do want some of those good greens from the Dakotas. Nobody. We have the meals on lock. But also, we have to reinvent the way our diets look. Now, I'm not telling you can't. Donna, why are you laughing at me? Man, yes, the Dakotas. I've never had anybody say, ooh, I want some of that good greens and cornbread from the Dakotas. Nobody. Nobody. But when you think about Patrice, my mother suffered from high blood pressure. And that is so true. Thank you for that example, Patrice, because those are examples that there are some people that no matter what you do, your blood pressure cannot come down. And those are scenarios that when you do have to treat it, it takes so much. But we ain't never had no, and we don't want foods from nowhere else, Adriana. Nowhere else. Where else can you get some barbecue chicken and then put the little white bread underneath and then no fries? Nowhere. I went to Houston and they had the turkey leg cut, and I got a full turkey leg that's probably this big. And I ate as much as I can. And so in the South, this is just who we are and what we do. But we also need to become smart about how we manage our blood pressure. And sitting in denial or assuming that it'll get better if I ignore it is not the case. So if you're in a space of having high blood pressure, if you're in a space like I was that day when my world crashed around me and I was having stress beyond this world, because the result from that was that my doctor made me stay home for 3 days. It wasn't even negotiable. I had to get, she wrote me a doctor's note. Beverly can't go to work until next week. And I had to sit at home until my blood pressure went down. And that was the most miserable I had ever felt because I was dizzy. So I couldn't drive. So again, dispel the idea that to have high blood pressure, it looks a certain way. Dispel that a high blood pressure feels a certain way. But recognize that, do your checkups. As Patrice just alluded to, once the damage is done of being left untreated for so long, it's almost irreversible. We have long lives ahead of us. We have so many great things to do, and we can't afford to play around with our health, Adriana. I've been trying to figure it out. My migraines have been unstoppable all. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, ma'am. With my blood pressure, yes, yes, yes. ASAP, Rocky. ASAP, like yesterday. Because again, it's better to find out what is going on than to live in a veil of denial. And I will say, because I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, there's 2 categories that we don't have, that we often shy away from: finances and our fitness, because those are the 2 most vulnerable, and those are the 2 most personal categories that we don't like to talk about, because many times there's a reflection of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And a lot of times with our money and our fitness, we don't always want to have the hard truth of saying either I didn't know, so I made the best decisions I could based on where I am, or I didn't want to know and I made decisions from there. But it doesn't matter how you got here. It just determines where you go now. And so from here, eat a healthy diet. I'm not telling you to be vegan. I'm not telling you to be plant-based, but eat a healthy diet. Diets that are nutritionally rich. Migraine, get an MRI. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you're having constant migraines, you need to find out why. Take advantage of your preventative care plans where you're allowed to go in and get a physical, get a total head to toe, and find out what's wrong. Because the answer may be, like Patrice just alluded to, in an MRI. It may be in your blood work. If you need to, get a cuff because your insurance will cover it. Ask me how I know. I did get that. What? That's weird. That's really weird. Is it seasonal for your migraines? Are your migraines seasonal? Because I would say if you didn't get the answer that you feel you should be satisfied, interview another physician. For our healthcare, we are our fiercest advocates. Don't be afraid to keep pushing until you get what you're looking for. If you have a problem, go ask. Be physically active. Y'all know, get outside at least 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be one of those crazy workouts. Doesn't need a lot of weights. If you need to, start walking. I love walking. My migraine started to mimic strokes. Yes, please do that. Please do that. Because again, if you fall out in Publix or Target, none of us are going to know why. And that's the worst place and most vulnerable state to be in. Please get your checkups. Limit how much alcohol you drink. It says men should drink no more than 2 alcoholic drinks per day. Women should drink no more than 1. And I'm going to roll on with that. I heart walking. Y'all, I went hiking this morning. I was out there for about an hour. I saw, I conquered. New Orleans, man. Yes. I don't know how to do my little wrist thing. So it is going to be as accurate as let me put it this way. I don't know because I don't know how often they may be calibrated, but it is a good readout for where you are in that moment at that time. So it wouldn't hurt just to get a quick glance of where you are at that time. I can drink every day. Well, they said one alcoholic beverage a day. And that's all I have to say about that. And go to bed. Go lay down. You remember how we were little and our parents made us go to bed? Okay, well, my mama made me go lay down. We weren't even sleepy, but she was like, no. You probably, y'all see how y'all do me. Go lay down. As our parents used to make us go to bed, you'd be like, I'm not even sleepy. You'll go to sleep. Get your rest. Again, yes, ma'am, to all of it. Blurred vision, I had that. Sweating, had that. Swelling in my hands and feet, didn't have it. But that day I got sick at work, I had. No, sir. How are we on the drinks? I get more No. But you know, Dazzy, you have a point. You will go lay down after 2 drinks, period. But more than anything, recognize the signs. And thank you, Patrice, for that. Because the day I got sick at work, I had blurred vision. I had sweating. I had blurred speech. When my team lead found me, I was walking down the hall trying to get to her office, holding on to dear life on the wall. And she said, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I don't feel right. Something doesn't feel good." And she grabbed my purse. She grabbed her purse and she threw me in the car and took me to the medical center. So high blood pressure is no respecter of persons. So don't assume that it can't happen to you. It happened to me because of a huge amount of stress. And with everything, Desi, but I do try to make sure that please, thank you. We appreciate that. Ibrahim, what's going on? We appreciate that. And thank you, Desi, for your vigilance in taking your blood pressure medicine. And part of that is because some of us are notorious for it. I feel good, so I'm gonna stop taking it. Unless your doctor has told you to stop taking it, you take your medicine. Full stop. So, y'all, that's all I have for today. Let me look at my calendar. I am going to be out next week. Yes, it's a rough idea. So, I won't see you all again to October 2nd. That sounds like a lot. That sounds like a lot of time from September 18th to October 2nd. That sounds like a lot of time that I'll be away. But it's not. It's just, wait, let me look at the calendar. It's just really a week. Be blessed. Be amazing. I will still be posting next week. But I just got to be out for the end of the month. Got to go take care of some things. Got to make sure my mama's good because mama over every, the world ain't right if I don't put eyes on my mama. So I got to go make sure my family's okay. Be amazing. Be blessed. Stick on the page. I'll probably post some ins and outs of what's going on, but definitely won't be here next Sunday because I won't be here. Patrice. And you don't have to be overweight. No prejudice. All shapes and sizes. Absolutely. Because did I also mention that day I got sick, I was running 5Ks. Die-hard runner, teaching, had clients, fit everywhere. And so when I went to the doctor, and I'm gonna end on this, and said my blood pressure was spiking, the doctor did not believe me because he looked at me and said, "There's no way I could be sick." And it took me having to get on the phone with my doctor and telling her what was going on, and for her to have me put her on speakerphone and explain to this man there is something wrong with her because her history says she has never been over 118. So if she's telling you something's wrong, something's wrong. So before I go, if you missed a chart, here are the numbers for blood pressure. The goal is to be in the green. And why am I still pointing? Because you can't see my hands. So the goal is to be in the green. Elevated. You may be at the doctor and you have an anxiety. But as you go into that orange, into the red, the hypertension phase, do not pass go. Do not ask anybody's opinion. Do not ask what you think. Oh, you said, okay, good. So do not pass go if you are in the orange to red stages because your body is telling you something is wrong and you cannot afford to ignore what is going on. That is all I have. Be blessed, be amazing. Thank y'all so much for your input. It has, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Have a great week, and I will see y'all on the 2nd. Let me look at the calendar. Yes, it's 2nd. If you are in the Huntsville, what if, that's a good question. I've never seen it happen that way. If it is that way, you should really go to the doctor real fast. Really, really, really fast. If you are in the Huntsville area, thank y'all. At the last week of September, we kick off our homecoming shenanigans. So if you see me out here in these streets, wave and say hi. I'll take a picture of 5 or 2. Say hey. So if you're in the Huntsville area, don't forget homecoming week kicks off at the end of the month. Let's be safe. Let's have fun. And I'll see you at tailgating. We'll see each other. I have on the maroon shirt. I have on the maroon shirt that says A&M Bulldogs. Have fun, and I will see y'all on the 2nd. I can't even begin to tell you how much you all make my day. I was ready to sing the song, "There's No Me Without You." And I mean that fully. Thank you all for taking time out of your Sundays or any day I'm online to hang out with me. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And that is from a level of gratitude that you cannot even imagine. Thank you for being here with me. Be amazing, be blessed. And again, if you see me out here in these homecoming streets, say hey. Have a good evening, and I'll see y'all on October 2nd. Okay, bye. Thank y'all.